Hello, friends. About 4,500 years ago, in the scorching deserts of Egypt, something was built that continues to leave people awestruck even today. A colossal monument rising proudly into the sky, the Great Pyramid of Giza, standing at a height of 147 meters. It was once the tallest structure in the entire world, holding that title for over 4,000 years. Think about that for a moment. 4,000 years of dominance. While civilizations rose and fell, empires came and went, and yet this monument stood tall. The pyramid is estimated to weigh a mind-boggling 6 million tons. To put this into perspective, the tallest building of today, the Burj Khalifa, weighs only around 500,000 tons. The difference is staggering. And yet, more than 4,500 years ago, without modern cranes, without bulldozers, without even wheels, people built this extraordinary marvel. How? That's the question that has left historians, scientists, and dreamers dumbfounded for centuries. Imagine a structure standing through blazing summers, fierce sandstorms, torrential rains, and relentless weathering for over 4.5 millennia. There is simply no other monument in the world of this size and age that has survived with such majesty. So, what was the secret? How could ancient Egyptians achieve what seems almost impossible even by today's standards? The Great Pyramid of Giza has been called the most enigmatic structure on Earth. Built around 2500 BC, it was constructed as a shining tomb clad in white limestone, designed to both awe and mystify. It is generally believed to have been commissioned by Pharaoh Khufu, the second monarch of the 4th dynasty of Egypt's Old Kingdom. But even basic facts about Khufu's reign remain uncertain. Some historians believe he ruled for just 23 years, others say 34, and some even suggest more than 60 years. Imagine how little we know about the man who ordered the creation of the greatest wonder of the ancient world. The pyramid stands on the west bank of the River Nile, alongside 2 other pyramids that form the famous Giza complex. The largest is the Pyramid of Khufu. The second belongs to his son Khafre, and the third, the smallest, to Menkaus, Khafre's son. Together, they dominate the desert landscape, accompanied by the Great Sphinx, smaller pyramids, and burial tombs. Altogether, Egypt is home to around 118 pyramids of varying sizes, but the 3 at Giza remain the most iconic, the most preserved, and the most fascinating. Why were they built? The answer lies in the Egyptian belief in the afterlife. For the ancient Egyptians, death was not the end. It was a passage into another existence. Pharaohs commissioned massive tombs for themselves, so they could carry their wealth and comforts into the afterlife. They believed the grandeur of the tomb, and the treasures buried within determined how well they would live after death. Food, jewelry, furniture, and even clothes were placed alongside the mummified pharaoh inside the sarcophagus. We know this because of inscriptions and texts discovered inside many pyramids. These writings describe Egyptian burial customs and confirm that pyramids served as tombs. And yet, here's where the mystery deepens. Inside the Great Pyramid itself, archaeologists found only an empty sarcophagus and 3 peculiar relics. No treasure, no extravagant burial items. Many believe the tomb was looted long before modern archaeologists arrived. But others see this absence as proof that the Great Pyramid might have had a different purpose altogether. This uncertainty has given birth to countless alternative theories, some bizarre, others intriguing. Some suggest the pyramid was actually a giant power plant, claiming ancient Egyptians had discovered electricity. They point to carvings on temple walls that, at first glance, look like depictions of giant light bulbs. Others, like a famous American politician, once suggested the pyramids were built as granaries to store crops, even claiming Joseph, from the Bible, built them for this purpose. While these theories capture attention, they crumble under scientific scrutiny. Historians agree overwhelmingly that the Great Pyramid was indeed a tomb, but one that continues to raise more questions than it answers. Perhaps the biggest mystery of all lies in the construction itself. How on earth were these massive pyramids built? The sheer logistics baffle us. Each block of limestone weighs between 2.5 and 80 tons. Each one carved with astonishing precision, stacked with incredible accuracy. And here's the kicker. According to estimates, the entire pyramid was built in just 20 years. Do the math, and that means one stone block had to be perfectly placed every 3 minutes without modern machinery. But who built it? For years, popular culture portrayed slaves being whipped and starved as they toiled endlessly under the desert sun. Films, books, and ancient Greek historians all spread this belief. But modern discoveries have shattered this idea. The builders of the pyramids weren't slaves, but skilled, well-fed workers. Archaeologists have found evidence of large worker villages near the pyramids, showing that tens of thousands of laborers lived there, supported by their communities. Farmers, for example, worked on pyramid construction during the agricultural off-season. It was, in many ways, a national project that united Egypt. The workers were respected, fed far better than average citizens, and deeply loyal to their pharaoh. Archaeologists estimate that around 20,000 to 30,000 workers participated in the construction, laboring 10 hours a day, moving over 5.5 million tons of limestone, 8,000 tons of granite, and 500,000 tons of mortar. Most materials came from nearby, though some granite blocks were transported from as far as 800 kilometers away in southern Egypt. But that brings us to the burning question. How did they cut and transport these stones? And how did they lift them so high? This is where the story gets even more fascinating. And friends, if you're enjoying uncovering this mystery so far, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now. Because the second half of this story dives even deeper into the mind-blowing theories of how these colossal structures were built. You won't want to miss it. Oh, how exactly did ancient Egyptians manage to cut, move, and stack millions of tons of stone without modern technology? Back then, the only metal widely available was copper, which is relatively soft. Yet, they used copper tools to carve limestone, while harder stones like granite were broken using dolerite, a rock even tougher than granite itself. They also used clever techniques, like inserting wooden wedges into natural cracks of rocks, then soaking the wood with water. As the wood expanded, the stone would split apart. Ingenious, right? But carving was only the beginning. Once the massive blocks were ready, the challenge was moving them. Remember, the Egyptians didn't use wheels for carts during the 4th dynasty. So how could they transport stones weighing several tons each? One of the most fascinating theories comes from a wall painting found in the tomb of Jaututep. It depicts 170 men pulling a colossal statue on a wooden sledge. At first glance, it just looks like hard labor. But if you look closely, you'll all see a man in the painting pouring water onto the sand in front of the sledge. For years, archaeologists assumed this was some kind of ritual. But modern physicists decided to test it out. They discovered that wetting the sand at just the right ratio, about 2 to 5% of water, reduced friction dramatically. Suddenly, it became much easier to drag heavy objects across the desert. With this method, pulling giant blocks across sledges became plausible, especially when thousands of workers were involved. Imagine the sight, long lines of workers hauling enormous blocks over damp sand, united in building a monument that would outlive them all. But moving stones to the pyramid site was only half the challenge. How did they lift them and stack them higher and higher until the pyramid reached almost 150 meters in the sky? One popular theory is that the Egyptians used massive ramps. In 2015, archaeologists uncovered a 4,500-year-old ramp system in a quarry. It consisted of a central ramp flanked by staircases, with wooden posts where ropes could be wound. The idea is that as workers pulled the stones up the slope, the ropes looped around posts helped distribute the force. making it easier to drag the blocks upward. According to some physicists, ramps may have been built in stages. After completing a level of the pyramid, workers extended the ramp higher, carefully ensuring the angle wasn't too steep. By keeping the slope long, they made it possible to drag blocks steadily upward. Another theory suggests levers were used, long wooden poles functioning like giant seesaws, to tilt and position the stones one by one. In fact, similar lever systems, known as shadoufs, were used in Egypt for millennia to draw water from the Nile. Perhaps the same principle was applied to pyramid construction. Both theories sound plausible, but here's the catch: the timing. Historians calculate that to finish the pyramid in 20 years, workers would need to position one stone block every 3 minutes, day and night, year after year. Even with ramps and levers, this level of efficiency feels almost impossible. And this is exactly why the Great Pyramid remains such a mystery. We have logical theories, but none provide a complete, undeniable explanation. Then there's the mortar used between the stones. While we know its chemical composition, scientists today still struggle to replicate it perfectly. It seems the Egyptians discovered a method that has been lost to time. And that's not all. Originally, the Great Pyramid wasn't the rough, sandy-colored structure we see today. Its outer surface was made of polished, whitish limestone that gleamed brilliantly under the sun. Imagine walking through the desert thousands of years ago and seeing these massive structures glittering like jewels on the horizon. Even now, you can still see a portion of this casing stone near the top of the Pyramid of Khufu, hinting at the dazzling beauty all 3 pyramids once had. But the wonder doesn't stop at the construction. The design itself is almost supernatural in its precision. The pyramids are aligned almost perfectly to the 4 cardinal directions: north, south, east, and west, with an error so tiny it's barely measurable, just 1/15 of a degree. How could they achieve this without compasses, GPS, or satellites? Some scholars suggest the Egyptians used the autumn equinox, when day and night are equal and shadows fall perfectly east to west. Others believe they studied the stars. In 1989, author Robert Bauval proposed the Orion correlation theory, suggesting the 3 pyramids were intentionally aligned with the 3 stars in Orion's belt. He claimed the Egyptians were skilled astronomers who tracked constellations and used them to guide agriculture and construction. While fascinating, this theory has been challenged by historians and astronomers. Tests show the pyramids don't align precisely with Orion's belt, partly because the star's positions have shifted over thousands of years. Still, the theory remains popular, proving just how desperate humans are to find patterns and meaning, even when evidence is scarce. And of course, there are the most far-fetched ideas, claims that the pyramids were built by aliens, because surely humans couldn't have done it. But while these theories capture imagination, they insult the ingenuity of ancient Egyptians. Our ancestors were capable of extraordinary things, and it is far more inspiring to believe in human brilliance than to hand credit to extraterrestrials. The truth is, we may never know exactly how the pyramids were built, and maybe that's what makes them so magical. They stand as a reminder of the mysteries of history, of human determination, and of the knowledge we have yet to uncover. Perhaps one day, new discoveries will reveal the full story. Until then, the Great Pyramid of Giza remains not just a tomb, not just a monument, but a puzzle that continues to fascinate the entire world. And now, I'd love to hear from you. What do you think? Were the pyramids built entirely with ramps and manpower, or do you believe there's another explanation still waiting to be discovered? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'll be reading every single one.